Hey, so in a preparation of Spa week, I have made a hot lap, and my hot lap appeared to be 0.6 seconds slower than the setup lap time. So the setup lap time is 15.9, done by 10K Pro driver, and my lap time is 16.55. So it's basically 0.6 seconds difference. I saw that it might be interesting for you to actually see the difference between quite a good lap and a pro lap. So we're going to be comparing the telemetry, but don't be afraid if you do not understand a thing here. I will be explaining what's happening here. Just a quick briefing that we're actually to look at and what I'm showing. So this right top corner graph is the delta. So basically whatever this line goes up, it means that Daniel won some time over me. This line is the speed. This line is RPMs we don't really care about. This one is throttle. This one is braking. This one is steering wheel input and gearing. And once again, don't be afraid. I will be explaining what I'm showing. So in the very first corner, even before the very first corner, I can see that Daniel won almost 1/10 of a second. Why did it happen and how do I fix that? Well, I shouldn't really fix that because the thing is that Daniel just prepared the exit from the last corner for the hot lap, so he sacrificed some time when doing a previous lap in order to make next lap just faster. I did some race pace thing, so I did not want some time here, but it doesn't really matter when you do a race. So we can see that at the very start of the lap, Daniel speed is 167 when mine is just 162, so 5 kilometers difference. And how to prove that his previous exit is not much better than mine is that we just go to the very end of the lap and we can see that before the finish line my speed is 159 and his speed is 159. So basically that proves that Daniel just have prepared the hot lap, and if you really care about the time itself, then that's what you should do as well if you're doing the hot lap. So for the next corner, our braking trace is almost identical. He is reaching the braking pressure a bit faster than I do, and then he is releasing it a bit more quicker than I do, which gives him, so my delta was 0.09, and by the exit he is 0.15 seconds. So he won some time by releasing the brakes tiny bit faster, but then he was struggling to actually smash the throttle when I was much more aggressive. So we can see that his throttle line goes up till the 90% and then goes down a little bit and then up as well when I was able to just smash the throttle. And before the Eau Rouge, our delta is 0.12. So if we remove the 0.09, it means that before the Eau Rouge, he actually is winning 300ths of a second. But there is an interesting thing that before Eau Rouge, our delta is 0.13, and by the end of the line, it's 0.15. Where did he gain couple of hundreds if our speed before the Eau Rouge was quite identical? The thing is that he was just a little bit more polite with the steering. So here is a steering lane, and you can actually see that he is applying less steering than I do. He is actually almost not steering whatsoever. His line is much more straight. And if we zoom in a bit, we can see that I am taking a bit wider line when he's taking a bit more straight line, and he is using a bit less of a steering wheel, which actually gains him a couple hundreds. So approaching the first corner of the Les Combes, we can see that I brake a little bit earlier than him, but I release the brakes also a little bit earlier when he is braking a little bit more late but he have to hold his brakes for a little bit later. So by the end of the braking line, we are pretty much even. But when we turned the car, he was able to open the throttle a bit earlier, and you can see he opened the throttle here. When I opened the throttle here, let me show it on a racetrack so you understand the difference. After I have turned the car, I have opened the throttle right here, when for the Daniel, it was most probably here. So this tiny of a difference actually made him win a couple more hundreds. And then we can see the biggest difference, which actually costed me a lot, is that I lifted too much of the throttle. We can see that his lower value for the throttle is approximately 40% when I released it fully, which actually gained him 0.05 of a second. And yes, actually, don't be surprised by so small values of wins and gains, because when you are half a second of the pro lap time, that's actually going to be the main difference. It's 500 here, 500 there, 300 there, and it adds up to half of a second. So, yep, we can see that when I lost the most in this combination of the corners is right here. So when I released the throttle, I released it fully. When Daniel released it only till the 40%, which gained him a couple of hundreds. And let's go further. So for this U-turn, Daniel and I made this corner pretty much identically. But after the next corner, which is called No Name, I have actually lost quite a lot of time. And by a lot of time, I mean 0.06 seconds. And once again, the difference is that Daniel used brakes tiny bit earlier and less brakes when I was later on brakes, and I had to use more of a braking pressure, so I overslowed down a car. And so you just understand the scope of the difference, how subtle it is. I opened the brake pedal here, and Daniel did it approximately here, which led to a 0.06 seconds difference before we approached the Pujon. So for the Pujon, I lost quite a lot of time. Again, it is 700ths of a second, not tenths, hundreds. And basically the difference is that, okay, he is braking a bit less than I brake a bit more, but I released the brakes a bit earlier, so here we're pretty even I have a higher speed. But exactly, I think exactly because I had a higher speed and I wasn't on the brakes for longer, and I was not able to use trail braking this effectively, he opened the throttle tiny bit earlier. And by tiny bit earlier, I mean, how much meters? 8 meters. So it's basically 1/10 of a second, maybe even less, but he was able to open the throttle tiny bit earlier, which gained him actually 800s, which is quite significant. Other than that, we made this corner pretty much identical. And let's go to the Piff Puff. So for the Piff Puff, my loss is quite huge. It is 1/10 of a second. And let's review carefully why. Why exactly is it happening? So I was braking quite hard. And then I had to release the brakes because I already see that I overslowed down when the Daniel used less brakes and held this pressure, which allowed him to actually carry much more speed into the corner. My speed was, yeah, basically our speed difference is 8 kilometers per hour, which is quite significant. So just by the braking trace, just after the braking line, he was already winning in this corner 1/10 of a second. Though I was able to brake much less to change the direction of the car, so here I kinda recovered just a tiny bit. But because Daniel was earlier on a throttle, he again started to gain. And how it looks in a car view, basically I started to brake and I applied too much of the pressure, so Daniel would stop applying a pressure approximately here, and he would hold it. When I started to trail brake straight away and lost quite a lot of speed. Approaching next corner, and it is very important corner because it goes before the huge straight line. Basically, after we open throttle at this point of time, we do not close the throttle again until the bus stop. And actually, looking by telemetry, I pretty much nailed it. I opened the throttle quite aggressively and even a tiny bit more aggressive than the Daniel, which allowed me not to lose any speed on a straight line. But before that, once again, I used tiny bit more of a braking pressure when braking, and I had to release it a tiny bit earlier when Daniel used less pressure but held it for longer, which once again helped him to gain 700ths of a second. And approaching the bus stop, I can see that my loss from him is basically none, 2-300ths of a second. And once again, our braking application is just a bit different. He's being quicker on the top braking pressure and he's holding it for a while when I'm slower on the top braking pressure and I'm holding it less. But these applications are very much similar and I don't lost any time here. That's basically it. I hope this video helped you to understand how actually subtle the difference is between top time and 1 second till the top time. So it's basically a couple hundreds in a few corners, but 500s there, 700s here, and 1/10 of a second here adds up to actually a significant difference. If you're interested in more such videos, then subscribe, press a like button, leave some comment. That would help me a lot to develop my channel. And see you in the next videos.